And I do believe we are live. Hi, I'm Nonsensical Rants, and I'm here with my buddy Draco to talk about The Boy and the Heron.
Hey, yeah, it's a good movie.
Well, first of all, I saw it subbed. You saw it dubbed. I didn't like the voice acting that much with the subs. I wish I'd seen it
Uh,
dubbed, but my dumbass accidentally got the wrong tickets.
well, I ended up seeing it dubbed simply because that was what they had at the showtime I could go to. So,
Yeah, I thought I
um,
actually. Okay, well, let's get this out of the way first. I like this movie, but I thought it was just okay.
yeah, it's definitely not up there with, say, Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke.
Or Howl's Moving Castle.
House
Just
Movie Castle. Yeah, but it is good.
on a scale of 1 to 10 by Miyazaki standards, I give it a 6. On a scale of what came out from in movies period recently, 10. Just by
Yeah,
virtue of not being shit.
yeah, I'd probably have given it around a 7.
Right
But
on.
as far as stuff coming out in general, yeah, no, it's about a 9 or a 10 easy. Just
So
by
yeah,
being
I
good.
put all the Miyazaki movies I've watched beginning to end, I put above this one. I haven't seen Kiki's Delivery Service beginning to end yet. I need to fix that.
I haven't. There's a bunch of them I haven't seen.
I rate this better than Ponyo,
Yeah, it's definitely better than that. Ponyo.
but not as good as Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle, or Spirited Away.
Yeah, I'd say, in my opinion, the best ones are or not House Moving Castle, Spirited Away, and Princess Mononoke, and then just below that for me would be Howl's Moving Castle and Nausicaa and the Valley of the Winds.
I also haven't seen that all the way through, but let's stick to The Boy and the Heron. But for
Yeah.
those of you who just want the quick rundown, you rate it good, definitely worth taking kids to. Go see this in theaters. Speaking of kids, there was a family, a dad who brought his little girl who was dressed up all as a princess and everything to see this movie, and it was adorable. She actually got. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Spirited Away. Brought his daughter to see Spirited Away. It was all adults in my theater watching this.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah,
But
last
that
week I
had to
saw
do.
Spirited Away in the theater for the first time, and there was a dad there with his princess little daughter, and she got so scared when the water spirit was cured and there was the mask in the air. Oh my, she cried. But
Oh,
with
that
this,
had to
it
be
was
cute.
all adult children, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was. I was not in
Well,
great company.
well, they aren't going to be bringing their kids to the subtitled one, and there weren't any at
Fair.
mine 'cause it was at noon on a weekday. So
I saw it at night, but yeah, there was a lot of stereotypes in the theater I went to.
oh yeah, no, same. Well, it was only like two people in the entire auditorium because, like I said, it was noon on a weekday.
And
It was
you
me
must
and a
live in like
wee.
middle of nowhere.
No, I live just outside Atlanta,
Oh,
but it was noon on a weekday, so the theater I go to usually doesn't have many people
gotcha.
at on a weekday at noon. Um, it was literally just one weeb in a Naruto jacket with the Uchiha symbol on the back,
Right on.
and
So
me.
the movie itself, I don't want to sound too negative, but it has a very slow pace all the way through,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, it is very slow and methodical. A lot of his movies start out very slowly, but
It
this
stayed
one never,
slow.
yeah, this one never seems to pick up the pace.
Like even in the really dramatic parts, it seems just a little, yeah, slow. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily a bad thing. It's just not quite up his usual style.
yeah. Um,
The beginning, I was very confused because in the beginning part of it, the movie's very blurry. It's an artistic choice, is what he's going for. I didn't like it.
yeah, I wasn't a huge
It hurt
fan
my
of it
eyes just a little
either.
bit.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan either. It was just, I don't know. I guess he was trying to convey the confusion and the emotion of
I
it
get
with the
that.
blurriness, but yeah, like you said, it's not great. Um,
Onto the story. Well, the characters are kind of. Well, actually, somebody in the theater thought it was gross, one of the things that happened, but boy's mother dies in a fire. They move out to
yep.
the country. The dad remarries his mother's sister.
Yeah.
And then somebody in the theater said, "Ew," when she realized you heard it dawn on her. She was like, "Wait, that's his aunt? Ew." And what they don't understand is like, no, this is like rural Japan. These people do not have giant circles of dating potential here.
Yeah, this was considering it was World War II era Japan that this movie took place in.
Yeah.
Which was a very different society from modern Japan as well.
Oh, you don't even have to go that far and discuss the culture. All you have to do is say, oh, dad's lost his wife. His son needs a mother. This is the only bachelorette he knows. In all likelihood, his sister-in-law was the only bachelorette he knew.
That's quite possible.
That, and in biblical times, or most of societies in all of history, if a man lost his wife, if a woman lost her husband, her brother-in-law would often step up and take responsibility and become her new husband. The reverse was also often true. If a man lost his wife, sister-in-law would sometimes, if not often, step up and take the role of wife and mother, because it has to be done.
Yeah. I didn't get an ew thing from it personally. It just seemed like something that went on back then, so...
Yeah. It didn't bother me that much. I was like, oh, that's kind of culturally interesting. But the place, I was really confused by what kind of wealth level this guy was living in. Like, this guy is clearly some kind of ranking military official and factory commander, the father, I mean.
Yeah.
And it's all over the place in how wealthy this guy is. I'm confused. Is this guy rich? Is he not? What's going on here?
It appears he's rich. To me, at least.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. Sometimes it felt like he was really rich, other times not. Because he didn't have his own car, for one. Because they went around being escorted by a guy pulling them on one of those carriages that the Asians still do for some reason. The bicycle rides.
No, he did seem to have his own car shortly thereafter, because when he took the son to school the first day, it was in a Datsun.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, when they finally go to this middle of nowhere place,
yeah,
they go up to the temple first.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait, do they own the temple? And do all these ladies work for them? Or is the temple more of a communal thing and these old ladies kind of work with everybody? That was a little lost on me.
It appears, from what I could gather, that at the beginning of the movie, they owned, the father or mother owned a building, a large house in Tokyo with servants. And
that's what I saw too.
Yeah, and then they moved after sometime after the mother died. It's clearly not immediately after, but sometime shortly after. They moved to the country, where it seems that the mother's family owned the large estate, and they were living in a detached house on the estate.
Oh, that might be it. But with the beginning, I wasn't sure if he owned that house or if it was more of a communal type deal with other military folk and their children. I just couldn't tell. It didn't go over that. I'm sure Japanese people accustomed to this culture would know. But we need that explained to us.
Yeah, as far as I could tell, they owned the house, and the only people living in the main house seemed to be the servants that took care of the main house, while he and his new wife and his son were living in the detached house.
Gotcha. That sounds about right. And on the topic of the detached house, I was very surprised by how colonial it seemed. Like, it seems like her great uncle, or the main guy of the story, without spoiling too much, might have been like European or
it's
Dutch
possible.
Or Portuguese. I don't remember who it was that kind of quasi-settled Japan and forced them out of their isolationism. I think it was the Dutch.
The black ships were English, I believe, or were they American?
No, this was like before World War I and World War II, back when Japan was isolated.
Yeah.
I think it was the Dutch or the Portuguese, one of the two. I don't think it was England.
Well, no, at one point the Portuguese were dealing with them and the Dutch, but then they closed off their borders to everyone, and then it took...
It was the English that kicked their teeth in?
I think it was the English.
Okay. I could have sworn it was the Dutch when the Portuguese played a minor role. But all right. Moving on, that's what I saw with the house. That's what I read into it, was that maybe on his
That's,
mother's side, there's some European in him.
yeah, I'm pulling it up right now to double check.
We're getting into history nerdism.
I am a history nerd,
So am I.
unfortunately.
The fact that I even knew the Dutch or Portuguese were involved in Japan during its isolationist era kind of shows that I know more than the average bear.
Oh no, it was the United States
It was the
in
United States that forced them to
1853.
open up.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that
it was
sounds.
the
Yeah, no,
United.
that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was either
So
the British or the U.S. And it's
I was
like,
like,
yeah,
I
no,
know
it's
it
the
wasn't the
U.S.
British, but it was the Dutch that were in communication with them for the longest time, right?
Yes, the Dutch and the Portuguese were the ones that were in contact with them the longest.
Gotcha.
But then after the Warring States period and some other stuff, they basically just closed down shop entirely.
All right, now let's get into the
Previously,
magic of this movie because I'm a very, excuse me, I'm a little disappointed in it.
yeah, it was like we said, it's not quite on the par with his best.
Not even just that the magic wasn't as extravagant as the best. It was that it wasn't as, or that it wasn't as creative. It's just that. Okay, we'll tell you guys a story. As it's all pretty much what you saw from the trailer. There's a spiritual kind of blue heron harassing this kid, and he's played more like a fox spirit or some kind of trickster spirit. And he takes him away to Wonderland as is usual for a Miyazaki movie. And in Wonderland, it's how do we explain it? It's a pocket universe that his great granduncle kind of colonized. And a lot of the creatures he brought along have kind of infested it and ruined it because there's pelicans in there that we know are from our world that are ruining things. There's parakeets. The parakeets. When the parakeet first appeared, I was like, "Wait, is that a parakeet?" I said that out loud, and then there was a bunch of parakeets. They were kind of funny.
Oh yeah, no, they were definitely funny looking.
A lot,
Which,
a lot of people in the theater seemed to be actually disturbed by their breathing. Like there was a stylistic choice to have the parakeets do a lot, just that a lot.
yeah. Honestly, I like the parakeets.
I like the parakeets too. They were just a very peculiar choice because
Yeah.
the theme of this movie seemed to be that birds are kind of terrible and kind of disgusting because they poop everywhere. The heron pooped all over his windowsill. Every time the parakeets are around, they're pooping on people.
Yeah, yeah.
Birds pooping seems to be a big theme in this movie, and I don't know why.
All the birds are a-holes and they poop everywhere.
Yeah, birds poop everywhere.
Yeah.
The
Which there's a real world where birds are a-holes and they poop everywhere.
Yeah, in real world, birds are assholes and they poop everywhere. As cute as they can be. Parakeets, though, are absolutely sweet and darling. That's why they were an odd choice.
Yeah. Making the parakeets the antagonists was weird to say the least.
Because parakeets, they won't even really attack anything. Like they'll steal stuff, shiny objects especially. But they're sweet. Like they're just nice to everything and everyone.
Well, yeah, because they generally are seed eaters. That's because
Yeah.
the way the beaks are shaped. They eat small seeds and stuff, not meat,
Yeah.
which made the choice to make them predatory and antagonistic kind of weird. But
Yeah, that disconnect just wasn't working for me. Especially, this pocket universe seems to give animals sentience. That like any animal that goes into this pocket universe becomes human intelligence, and they evolve rapidly. But when they
Yep.
come back to our world, they become dumb animals again.
except for the heron, who seems to be magical in general.
I think the heron comes from our world. That's why
Yeah.
he's just a
No, I
magical
mean,
creature. Oh, what's
yeah,
up?
he just seems to be a magical creature native to our world that could move between the two.
Because this kind of place would attract everything magical. And what this mad pocket universe is it's the Omni doorway. It's the doorway to all worlds and times. You can go
Yep.
like there's just millions of doors. You can take them to any place in time or any other universe you want, and it's so underutilized in that capacity.
Yeah, it's basically a reality nexus.
Yeah, but he created a pocket universe in this reality nexus. Actually, I should be more specific. Exactly what it is
They seem
it's
to
the
have
place
made
before
two.
life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we actually see these creatures. I forget their names. You can see them on the left there, the little floating balloon guys. Those are actually human souls before they're born. And they rise up from the void to become born. And what this place is the void that we exist in before we exist. That's the idea here. And such a place seems to be a reality nexus. Because even thinking about it, it looked just like heaven. It would be connected to all realms, all universes, all places, all times.
Yeah, because you have to have souls getting into bodies everywhere when they're born.
Yep. Souls are everywhere all at once. Souls aren't
Yep.
bound by time. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so this guy found this place, and then he built this world we see in it, and it's falling apart. And the ending, I didn't like it. It's too clean. It leaves too little to continue on it, because this world is destroyed at the end. Spoiler alert: it's all destroyed at the end. And I'm just sitting there thinking, what a waste. Because with Spirited Away, those spirits are still around. They're still hanging around. They're still going places, you know?
Yep. I mean, technically, the void where the unborn souls are would still be there as a nexus. It's just all the trappings he built onto that probably was what was destroyed.
All the animals he brought in are gone. All the places that were built, gone.
Yep.
We can't even be sure if the land masses or the ocean or other spirits that we saw down there were original to the world or not. All we know that for certain were original to the world are the little balloon guys, the spirits that become human.
Yep.
That's the only thing we know for certain are still down there. And if they need the fish guts to evolve and be born, that could be a problem. Because now there's nobody there to help them do that.
Well, I mean, people continued to be born afterwards, I assume, in the movie, so it probably worked itself out.
Good point. Good point.
I mean, the younger brother popped out, so I guess, it worked
Yeah, the
itself
mother
out.
popped out another baby. That's true. But when I say it connects all places and all times, I mean, it turns out that the boy's mother is alive despite being dead because her younger self is in this realm before conceiving him. So it's like Back to the Future. He meets his mother, same age as him, and then they're adorable together.
Yeah, which also explains why she was so beaming and happy when
But-
she came
yeah.
out.
Yeah, they said that she once disappeared for like a year and then came back when she was a child, and then she couldn't remember anything that happened to her, but she was beaming and happy, even though she couldn't remember what happened. Like, yeah, meeting your son from the future, that would make me pretty happy,
Yep.
and having a grand adventure with him.
Yep.
Oh, which brings us to another theme of this movie: get married, reproduce.
Yeah.
Shinzo Abe is living strong in every movie we're seeing. This and Godzilla, it's get married, reproduce.
It's hilarious because they're both set around the time period of World War II,
Yeah,
and they're both very much the get married, have children, be a family.
yep. Yep. And there's a lot of this movie, with the characters at least, that I'm just not sure how it's all connected, because a lot of the old ladies seem to know. They seem to know. I think every single one of them has been there.
Quite possibly. We know for a fact that the one that was following him into the woods.
Yeah. And she was an
Jericho?
odd choice. I wasn't expecting her to be the companion for the story.
At least for part of it, yeah.
Yeah. Of all the old ladies, she seemed the least sociable, the least adventurous. But they threw her in there. Kakiko, I think her name was, something like that.
Akiko. I think Akiko was, no, I don't know. I thought it was a K, like
It's a K
Kiriko.
name. And I realized who she was pretty quickly when we met her younger self in the
Yeah,
other
because
world.
she's wearing the exact same clothes.
It actually took me surprisingly long. It wasn't until, and like you heard everybody in the theater realize at the same time too. We all just went, oh. It was audible. It was an audible realization. And I liked young her. Young her was a real tomboy.
Okay, so yeah, I was right. Her name is Kiriko.
Kiriko.
Yeah, and the stepmother is Natsuko.
Gotcha. And the stepmother seemed to know way too much too. Like how to get
Yeah,
there and how to find a room, a place to be safe.
seems like it.
So,
Um, it was a good movie though. It just wasn't as good as it could have been.
yep, that's really all there is to it. The magic of it was just wasted. We didn't. The stone didn't really do much aside from destroy the world at the end. Eh. This movie was eh. I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
Probably not. I'm in
I'll
the
watch
same
Spirited
boat.
Away again. I'll
Oh
watch
yeah, I mean,
Howl's Moving Castle again.
yeah. This is kind of like Ponyo, where I might buy it just to have another Miyazaki movie because collecting them is kind of a thing I would like to do, but I doubt I'm gonna actually watch it particularly often
Well, I
if I ever
guess
watch it again.
yeah. That's all there is to it. It was meh, but I do recommend going to see it in theaters and supporting
I
it.
mean, it's honestly it's better than pretty much anything else in theaters if you have a family.
Yes. Oh, especially for kids. This is a great kids movie.
And unlike with Disney, you don't have to worry about some weird, creepy message being in there now.
There was
The
none.
only,
There
the
wasn't
only,
even
re-
any hint of incest between kid and kid's mom as a kid. Not
Nope.
even a hint. Thanks, Japan. I'm sure that took real restraint.
Yeah, yeah. It
I
was
was I had
honestly there was
another
less. It was less creepy than Back to the Future.
by a lot. There was something else. I can't remember. I was about to say something. Huh. Do you have any other closing thoughts?
I generally actually like the character designs in the actual art.
I remember what I just thought. Saw
Hmm,
an article, guess what? You're going to be really
what?
disappointed by this like I was. This is the highest grossing Miyazaki movie.
That is kind of sad.
That's really depressing. Why are we being so solemn? It was a good movie. I had a
It
good
is.
time. Why are we being
Well,
so down?
honestly, maybe Miyazaki's just kind of falling off. But then again, he's done some movies that aren't that great, like Ponyo before. So I mean, nobody bats 1,000.
This was probably average for him. It's better than his worst
Yeah.
by a lot, but it's not as good as his
Yeah,
best by a lot. I don't know
pretty
why we're being
much.
so down on it.
I guess it's because we expect more from him since we know where his peaks are,
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
and
I
we
don't think this
haven't
movie
hit.
had a peak. Like there wasn't really a part of this movie where I was blown away.
Uh, as far like I said, I really liked the character designs and the art of the movie. It's just like you said, the story itself is just kind of meh.
I mean, he
It's
had
kind
so
of
many
middle of the
elements he
road.
could work with,
Yeah.
and he could have done much more with. The mother I adored, but she was underused.
Yeah, honestly, pretty much everyone except for the boy and the Heron are heavily underused. That
Even
kind
the
of
Heron, I would say, is a little underused.
Yeah, because he's not there quite as much as you would want to. He disappears for a big chunk in the middle.
Yeah, and honestly, the movie would have been much better if, like, the first third was the Heron being a much bigger asshole. Just, like, while they're still in the real world, the Heron being a real pain in the ass. And other magical
Yeah,
stuff happening, besides the one scene where the fish talk and the frogs climb on him.
yeah. We could have used more of that because that was actually a really creepy and good scene.
Yeah, we should.
And
I wish we had more of that.
we didn't quite get anything else exactly on the level. The closest thing we got that was to that level again
Was
was
the
when
parakeets in the house?
no, I was gonna say when the souls are rising up before the before the pelicans attack.
Fair enough.
That was the
Uh,
closest thing to a real, just absolute spectacle.
yeah, and when Kiki or Himi
You mean, yeah,
destroys the pelicans and kills a lot of the souls with them.
yeah, but I mean, at that point, it was either waste a few or the pelicans eat them all. So
Gotcha. That and let's see. Himi was underused by a lot. She could
yep.
have been. She's a fire sprite. Like, oh, she could have done so much more. There was the most memorable moments were with the parakeets being silly or funny, like our ancestors. That made me laugh. And when we see the king in the real world,
Yeah, that was amusing.
that was amusing. Those were the most memorable parts. Oh, there were a few visual gags I really liked, like when they're climbing on the rafters. I was like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
are those bird spikes?
Yeah, exactly. That was wonderful.
It took me a second to realize what those were.
Oh, the sequence when he's having to repair the
The
Heron
beak.
bill. That was amusing.
That was pretty funny. That was good characterization. I wish we'd had more of that.
Yeah, yeah.
I would like more of the boy and the heron interacting.
Yeah, we didn't get as much good character building like we usually do in a Miyazaki movie. Even Ponyo had more character building
Yeah.
between the boy and Ponyo.
Yeah, I want for a movie named The Boy and the Heron don't seem to be the main focus. In fact, I'm not sure what the main focus was, aside from birds are gross, get married and reproduce.
The boy definitely seemed to be the focus. It's just no one
His-
else really got any development or screen time alongside him for long enough to do anything. Because he did have a clear arc where he began and where
Yeah.
he ended.
His development was his journey, I guess, but
Yeah,
we
it was
could have
basically
had a much more interesting adventure without changing anything, just using the elements we had. We didn't need to add or take away any characters or things. It just could have been done better.
yeah, because it kind of starts off because the arc for him revolves not around the heron
But his mother,
or his mother
His
and
mourning
his
his mother.
stepmother.
oh
Because
yeah,
he starts out mourning his mother and being very standoffish with his stepmother
yep, it's the story of him recovering from his mother's death and coming
and
to accept his
accepting,
stepmother.
coming to accept the stepmother as his new mother. And it's actually not a bad telling of something like that. It's just, unfortunately, they didn't do enough with anyone else.
I wish he'd gone more symbolic with this journey, like he usually does with his movies.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of the stepmother, while she was heavily featured in the first part, I wish she was more heavily featured throughout the other world.
Yeah, she just kind of leaves the movie until pretty much almost the end.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie was all over the place. I wanted to like it, and I like it. I'm just not seeing it again.
Nah, me neither. At least not anytime soon.
Yeah,
If I do buy it, I might watch it someday, but
give me another
probably-
decade to forget it. I'll rewatch it dubbed. And
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll probably end up watching it subbed at some
Alright.
point.
any closing thoughts?
We've already pretty much covered everything. It's, just go see it. It's a good movie.
Yeah, go see it. It's good.
It's better, especially if you have kids. It is a good kids movie. Of course, make sure you get the dubbed if you have children.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And otherwise, yeah. I'm just glad I didn't have to go into Atlanta proper to see it. The last time I went to see a Miyazaki movie in a theater, I had to go all the way to a limited run house in Atlanta that was owned by the same company I worked for.
Ooh.
That was back with Spirited Away before it got a wider release.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
I guess that's it. We liked it. Go watch it. Could have been a lot better. If you're expecting Spirited Away, you might be a little disappointed. But if you're expecting better than anything else produced in the last few years, you'll have a good time.
I've seen a bunch of kids movies. I can't think of a single one that's better than this that's come out in the last
5 years, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's maybe on par with. I'd say it's the closest was maybe the Mario movie for just not
Ugh.
being something offensive to watch.
Yeah. I did not like the Mario movie, but let's not get
I
into
was
that debate.
neutral on it.
But that's it, folks. I'm Nonsensical Rants. This is my buddy Draco, just
Yep.
being snobbish about movies. See you around.
See you.